Hello everyone, welcome back to the EMDR Doctor podcast. Today we're talking about shame and guilt. So one of the real heroes of our times in the psychological world is of course Brené Brown. So most people have heard of her. She's very famous for her research on shame, which makes her a bit of a star in the therapy field. And she's a prolific writer and a wonderful communicator. So her ideas have the opportunity to spread far and wide. And what's most interesting here is the lack of research and discussion about shame in the therapy field prior to the advent of Brené Brown's research. And I think this very concept is central to shame. We all hate it. It's one of the most uncomfortable feelings that we can experience. When we feel shame, we wither up inside. We want to hide, we want to retreat, we want to shrink, isolate. It's a powerful emotion and one that has been pretty tricky to treat. How do we treat shame? All of the previous therapies seem to just kind of gloss over it and push it aside, or maybe not even recognize it at all. There's plenty of research around anxiety and depression and psychosis and eating disorders and anger, but shame is kind of hidden away, just like we want to do when we experience it. We want to hide, we want to cover up, we want to slip out the back door far away from everybody. And this is reflected in the research, in the lack of research. So what is shame and what is guilt? Brené Brown's beautiful description is that guilt is the feeling that comes with, I've done something bad. And shame is the feeling, I am bad. And that's a very apt and beautiful description. And I'll give you some examples. So guilt comes with a situation of maybe, let's say for an example, yelling at the kids after a long day. We know that this is a hurtful thing to do. We know that we've ruptured that relationship. We are hopefully sorry and we know that we've done the wrong thing, and the guilt that we feel is quite adaptive. It helps us progress to doing something more helpful. It helps us decide on doing an action that repairs, maybe going to give the kids a hug, speaking gently to them, using words to apologize, soothe the hurt, repair that relationship. So if I forget, say for example, in my job as a therapist, if I forget to call somebody back, and this is a not too common event, I have to say, in my practice, the guilt that I feel will spur me on to rectify this. As soon as I remember, I'll feel a bit guilty, I'll call them, I'll offer an apology, I'll attend to the client in whatever way they need, a new booking, whatever it might be. If I didn't have guilt, I might not make the effort to call them. I might just ignore the request, or I might call and ignore my own error, and that might leave that person feeling high and dry or feeling mistreated. So it doesn't repair the relationship. So another example, if I steal something, I might feel guilt and decide from there on I will earn my belongings and not steal them. So appropriate guilt is helpful, it's adaptive, it helps society and relationships. And so is appropriate. Shame is an emotion that, believe it or not, is an adaptive emotion. Even though it feels awful, it helps us to not act in ways that hurt others. It helps us be part of the clan, belong, do our bit for community, act in accordance to our own laws. Shame is the feeling that goes with the belief, I am bad. Shame is so uncomfortable. It makes us act in a way that not being bad helps society and helps communities function. So, for example, if I as a doctor say I don't listen to my patient and I don't take in some information and I make the wrong diagnosis, I might later find out about that and feel shame because of that belief, I'm a bad doctor. Now, this might be quite adaptive. If I'm thinking I'm a bad doctor, that makes me then go and learn something more about what I needed to know, or perhaps attend to my patient with a little bit more attention and then that's actually helpful to my patient, for society in general, and healthcare. So in this situation, it's adaptive. Shame is a good thing. That thought, I'm a bad doctor, actually spurs me on to become a better doctor. So what's bad about that? If shame is maladaptive, then it's persistent from that one incident and it generalizes to our whole lives. So it's not just that I was a bad doctor in that situation, I fixed it, I no longer feel the shame, but the shame persists into all my interactions. I may feel really reluctant to go and talk to patients because of that feeling I'm a bad doctor. And it may generalize, so not just apply to that one particular incident of that one patient, but I might think I'm a bad doctor entirely, I'm so useless, I shouldn't be a doctor anymore, what am I doing here? I'm an imposter, I'm so bad I should just leave the profession, go and do something else. And I hear that again and again, especially from young doctors in the hospital system. It's a very difficult place to work. But if it generalizes to I'm a bad doctor overall, and then I'm a bad person because of it, then that could get really heavy, really difficult for me just to function in the workplace. If that belief, I'm a bad doctor and I'm a bad person, then generalizes from the workplace to my whole life, I might feel that I'm worthless, I'm useless, I'm nothing. Then that gets very difficult. If we have learned something like this about ourselves as when we were young, then we may carry that shame through our whole life, and then that may show up in lots of arenas of our lives, not just in our workplace, but in our relationships, in the way that we treat ourselves in terms of our health and our habits. If I was parented in a way that made me feel that I am bad, if I was frequently punished for reasons that I couldn't understand, if I was ignored, if my needs were not met, if I was told very often that I'm naughty, that I'm bad, you're a bad child, go to your room, you have to be alone because you're so bad. All of those things are really hard for a small person to integrate without carrying that shame into the rest of their lives. So what happens if we do then carry shame into our adult life? We may accept it and carry that shame and hold that knowledge I'm a bad person and then punish ourselves with eating disorders or self-harm or substance abuse or terrible relationships that we stay in because we know that we're a bad person, we're not worth being treated any better than that. Or we might build defenses. So that very, very distressing feeling of shame, we might defend against that. And what do I mean by defenses? So we might build like a bit of a fragile personality on top of that deep well of shame and badness. So we might then reject it emphatically and build this personality of, I'm good, I'm perfect, I'm the best, I never do anything wrong. And if you tell me that I've done something wrong, then you're the bad one. You are wrong. You're despicable. And so then we get a framework that kind of makes up a narcissistic personality disorder. Alternately, we might try and distract ourselves from the shame. That feeling of shame is so intolerable. I can't bear it. I need to distract myself. And then we distract ourselves away from the feeling of shame by maybe using drugs, using alcohol, using overwork, using a shopping or gambling addiction. And these other avoidance strategies are really common. We see them a lot of time in therapy, and sometimes they are avoidance away from the shame. Of course, those avoidance strategies are really quite harmful because a lot of the results of those addictions then promote more shame, and it's a real downward vicious cycle. So Brené Brown has an interesting way of looking at these things. She calls them the shame shields. Moving away, which is withdrawal, moving towards, which can be people-pleasing, or moving against, which is aggression. And schema therapy, actually, really interesting type of therapy, has another conceptualization about how we cope with difficult emotions. So overcompensation, avoidance, or surrender. Overcompensation might look like people-pleasing or more floridly narcissistic traits. Avoidance is the running away, hiding behind alcohol, drugs, other addictions. And surrender is we accept that that is our lot in life. We succumb to the terrible, difficult feelings. And this, with shame, might look like severe, hard to treat depression. That's just another way to conceptualize how we cope with shame. So shame can present in different ways. It can present with a feeling or one of the coping mechanisms. So now, more importantly, how do we treat shame when we actually recognize it? Depending on its severity, it might be quite easy to treat, or the treatment might be quite protracted. Brené Brown talks about compassion being the antidote to shame. The concept of love conquers all, and self-compassion is the long-term key to dissolving and modifying shame. But this can be really a lot harder than it appears to be. Like most therapy, feeling it is the difficult bit. So we can say it as much as we want. I'm a good person, I deserve kindness, I can be kind to myself, I love myself. All beautiful kind of self-compassionate ways of talking to ourselves. But what I find in a lot of really severe trauma is that those statements just don't land. We feel like we have to chase them. They're not true. We're paying lip service to them. So in EMDR, what we do is we go beneath that. We go to the source of the difficulties. We go to those difficult memories when the shame was created or installed or reinforced. So we go to the difficult memories, we dismantle them, we take the heat out of them, we dissolve the shame, the sadness, the hurt, whatever there is there. And then, and only then, can we truly learn something better about ourselves. It is possible to learn, I am a good person, I am worthy, I am lovable. It is possible to come out of drowning in this sea of shame onto those golden beaches of self-compassion. And it may just be that EMDR helps you float, swim, and get to shore. So if this has resonated with you, please feel free to take these ideas to your therapist and talk them over. Or if this is something that you would like to work on with me, feel free to reach out to me via my website, emdrdoctor.com.au. Or if you have previously done some EMDR, then you might be a candidate for my membership, which is a low-cost online group EMDR session once a month to help you further in your journey with EMDR. If you are a therapist and you are interested in upskilling to learn how to deal with shame just a little bit more effectively, then I will be holding a webinar a bit later in the year, probably around June. So keep your eyes open for this. I'll be promoting it a little bit closer to the time. So more details to come shortly on that webinar about shame for therapists. So I hope this has been helpful to you. I will talk to you again next week. In the meantime, take good care. Bye for now.